The galaxy had always believed that Earth was late to the stars. The Concord, a union of many ancient civilizations, had been watching humanity from a distance for centuries. They saw humans grow from small nations to a global network, then from satellites to colonies on nearby planets. At first, the Concord thought of them as a young species that would need guidance. Later, when humanity began to build fleets of ships that moved faster than expected, the Concord grew uneasy. It was then that they decided to act. The envoys were chosen with great care. They came from species known for wisdom, patience, and the gift of diplomacy. Their mission was not war but peace. The Concord believed if humanity was welcomed into the galactic community, it would become a partner instead of a threat. So they built ships of silver and crystal, enormous vessels designed not for battle but for beauty, and they set course for the blue world that had risen so quickly. When the ships appeared in Earth's skies, the people of the planet looked up in silence. News spread in seconds. Screens across the world showed the arrival of crafts so large they blotted out stars. Cities paused. Even in the quiet of farms and villages, people stepped outside to watch. The envoys expected fear. They expected panic. But what they saw instead was curiosity. Humanity did not run. Humanity stared. The alien ships took orbit, forming a gentle pattern above Earth. They sent greetings across every channel, speaking in hundreds of languages. Their voices promised peace, friendship, and gifts beyond imagination. They spoke of energy that never ran out, cures for sickness, and the chance to walk among the stars with ancient allies. They expected humanity to answer quickly, eager and grateful. But Earth gave no reply. For 2 full days, the envoys waited. Inside their grand ships, they discussed among themselves what the silence meant. Some thought humans were stunned and needed time to prepare a response. Others feared that humans were offended or suspicious. A few whispered that perhaps humanity was not as advanced as the reports claimed and did not know how to answer. Finally, on the 3rd day, a signal came. A single human ship rose from Earth's surface. It was not large compared to the Concord's vessels, but it moved with sharp precision. The ship stopped just outside the line of alien formation and waited. From it came a message, short and simple. The human voice said, "We hear you." Nothing more. The envoys were unsettled. In their long history of meeting new civilizations, none had ever answered so little. Usually, new species were filled with excitement, asking questions, seeking gifts, eager to join. Humanity's calm words carried no fear, no wonder, no request. It was like a door opening only halfway. Still, the mission had to go forward. The alien leader, a tall figure with a voice like flowing water, sent another greeting. He spoke of the Concord's history, of the wisdom of unity, of the safety that came with friendship. He offered a meeting on Earth, where gifts would be shared and promises signed. His voice filled every human channel. On Earth, the people listened. Governments gathered in secret halls. Leaders spoke in low voices. Scientists whispered to generals. Across the planet, the message was weighed. And though the world was divided by borders and languages, a strange unity spread. Humanity did not rush. Humanity did not bow. Humanity waited. The envoys could not understand this patience. To them, silence was strange, even threatening. They had come with ships of peace, with gifts of wonder, with promises of safety. Why then did Earth not respond with joy? Why did humanity not show eagerness? From the windows of their ships, the envoys looked down at the blue planet. They saw oceans that glimmered like jewels, forests that stretched wide, and cities that shone with lights even brighter than their own. For the first time, some of them felt small. They had come to guide. Yet they began to wonder if the humans needed guiding at all. Night fell on Earth. The alien ships floated like silver lanterns above the dark curve of the planet. And on the surface, billions of human eyes watched them in return. The silence between them grew heavy, like a weight pressing on every heart. The envoys had arrived with confidence, believing themselves the bringers of peace. But as the days passed, a quiet truth began to creep into their thoughts. Perhaps it was not they who were studying humanity. Perhaps it was humanity who was studying them. And in that thought, the first seed of unease was planted. The third sunrise after the alien ships arrived brought movement on Earth. Across the continents, a message spread that a formal meeting would take place. Humanity would send a delegation to speak with the visitors at last. The news calmed some, frightened others, and excited many, but it brought one feeling above all: anticipation. The Concord envoys prepared for this moment with great care. They polished their halls, rehearsed their speeches, and placed treasures on display. In their culture, gifts were symbols of respect. They planned to present crystals that sang when touched, stones that stored endless energy, and healing lights that could cure almost any wound. They expected these wonders to impress the humans and open their hearts. When the day came, the meeting was set aboard the largest envoy ship, a vessel shaped like a crown of silver. It hung above Earth's atmosphere, waiting. A single human craft approached it with quiet speed. It was not covered in jewels or banners. It was gray, sharp-edged, and practical. Yet to the eyes of the aliens, it carried a presence that felt heavier than its size. The airlock opened. From the human ship walked 5 figures. They were dressed in dark suits, plain but exact. No decoration, no attempt to match the grandeur of the alien style. Their faces were calm, unreadable. They bowed slightly in greeting but spoke no words at first. The silence stretched. The alien leader stepped forward, his voice smooth and warm. "Welcome, people of Earth," he said. "We bring peace from the Concord, a union of many stars. We come not as rulers but as friends. May this be the first day of our shared journey." The humans listened. Their eyes moved across the hall, studying every detail: the walls, the treasures, even the envoys themselves. Finally, the leader of the human group, a tall woman with steady eyes, spoke. "We hear you," she said, repeating the words of the first message. "We welcome your presence. But we do not yet know your purpose." Her words were simple, but their weight pressed against the room. The envoys shifted uneasily. They had declared peace, yet the humans asked for reason, for truth beyond speeches. The alien leader smiled carefully. He motioned to the treasures. "Our purpose is unity. We offer you the strength of our knowledge, the safety of our alliance. With us, you will gain friends among the stars, protection against dangers you do not yet see, and gifts that will enrich your world." One of the humans stepped forward, an older man with gray hair. He touched the crystal that sang, watched it glow with light, and then set it down gently. His voice was calm. "These are wonders, yes. But wonders are not purpose. Tell us why now. Tell us why you come to Earth at this moment in time." The question struck the envoys harder than they expected. They had not planned to reveal fear, only generosity. Yet the humans seemed to sense there was more. The leader of the envoys chose his words carefully. "We have watched you," he admitted. Your growth is swift. You move into the stars with great speed. We wish for you to be part of the Concord, so your strength may serve peace rather than danger. The hall grew still. The humans did not speak right away. They exchanged brief looks, subtle nods, as though they had expected this answer all along. Then the woman spoke again. We understand. You see our rise as risk. You come with gifts, but also with chains. You offer peace, but it is peace that requires us to kneel. Is this correct? The alien leader tried to soften her words. Not chains. Guidance. Friendship. The galaxy is safer when young species join those with wisdom. Her reply came steady, her eyes fixed on his. We are not young. We are not weak. We will listen. But we will not kneel. The silence that followed felt heavier than before. The envoys had expected excitement, gratitude, even joy. Instead, they found a wall of calm strength that unsettled them more than anger ever could. After a long pause, the human delegation rose to leave. The woman spoke once more before turning away. You have shown us your gifts. We thank you. Now you will see ours, in time. The humans departed without looking back. Their ship moved away, silent and precise, until it vanished into the clouds of Earth below. Inside the envoy hall, the aliens remained still. They had brought peace, but in return they had received something far more complex. Humanity had not shouted or threatened. They had not begged or praised. Their answer had been calm, short, and unsettling. The envoys began to realize something they had not considered. Perhaps the terrifying thing about humanity was not their weapons or their speed. Perhaps it was the way they could look at the galaxy's oldest alliance and stand unshaken. And with that thought, the first meeting came to an end. The first meeting had left the envoys uneasy. They had come expecting gratitude, perhaps even celebration. Instead, they had faced silence and steady eyes. Still, the Concord believed this could be corrected. They thought the humans were cautious, nothing more. With enough proof of generosity, humanity would surely open its arms. That belief would soon prove to be their first great mistake. The envoys decided on a grand gesture. Across their fleets, they prepared demonstrations of technology. Floating towers of energy that never dimmed, gardens that grew food in seconds, and small ships that could heal planets scarred by storms. These were wonders that had impressed dozens of other species before. Civilizations that had once resisted had fallen into awe once these gifts were revealed. Surely Earth would be no different. On the fourth day, the sky above Earth filled with light. The envoy ships opened their bays and released machines that danced like stars. Rivers of energy flowed across the heavens, painting shapes of fire and silver. A field of crystals bloomed in orbit, each one humming softly, sending beams of power to stations below. The envoys sent a message, proud and certain. People of Earth, the leader's voice rang across every channel. These are the gifts of the Concord. With us, your world will never know hunger, never fear darkness, never face disease without cure. We bring these wonders freely, for friendship. On Earth, billions watched. The skies glowed with alien power. Some stood amazed, some fearful, but the leaders of humanity remained silent. Their faces, broadcast in hidden halls, showed no awe. They watched with calm attention, as though studying a student's display rather than a master's art. At last, a human reply came. A signal spread across the sky, strong and clear. It was a voice, measured and calm. Your gifts are known to us. We have made our own light. We have cured our own sickness. We thank you, but we do not need these. The words struck like cold wind. The envoys looked at one another in disbelief. The Concord had believed their technology unmatched. Yet here was humanity, not impressed, not even curious, but almost dismissive. Could it be true? Had this single planet, younger than the Concord by ages, already reached such heights? To test this claim, the envoys sent a question. If your knowledge is so strong, show us what you have built. Show us your wonders, that we may believe. There was no answer. Instead, Earth fell silent once again. Hours passed, then a day. The alien ships glowed above, but no reply came. The humans seemed to choose silence over display. This silence was worse than any threat. It left the envoys guessing. If humanity had nothing, why refuse to prove it? If they did have power, why hide it? Inside their halls, the Concord envoys argued. Some said the humans were lying, trying to appear greater than they were. Others said the humans hid strength beyond what could be imagined. None could agree. And the longer the silence lasted, the more their unease grew. Meanwhile, across Earth, the people were not silent. They gathered in small groups, in homes, in squares, speaking quietly. Many wondered why their leaders had answered so calmly, why they did not seize the chance for alien cures and endless power. But there was also pride, a quiet pride that perhaps humanity did not need to beg for gifts. Perhaps their leaders knew something greater than what the envoys had shown. On the seventh day, humanity spoke again. The same woman who had led the first meeting appeared on every channel. Her voice was calm, her words chosen with care. We see your demonstrations. They are great. But we do not measure strength by gifts. We measure it by will, by the choice to build with our own hands. We have not come this far by leaning on others. We will not begin now. The statement was simple, yet to the envoys it was a storm. For the first time, they began to feel fear. Not fear of weapons, not fear of armies, but fear of something harder to understand. The humans did not want what others had. They wanted only what they could make themselves. That kind of will could not be bought, could not be controlled. The envoys had miscalculated. They had thought humanity was like every other species they had met, eager to join, eager to share. But Earth had shown something different. Earth had shown that even in the face of wonders, they would stand firm, unmoved. And in that quiet refusal, the galaxy saw the shadow of something it had never faced before. The Concord envoys had grown restless. Their gifts had been dismissed. Their wonders had been called unnecessary. Every effort to impress Earth seemed to fail. Yet still, the mission pressed forward. The Concord did not give up easily. They decided that if gifts could not win humanity, then presence would. They would place embassies on Earth, small stations where envoys could live, speak, and guide humans closely. It was a plan that had worked before. When young civilizations resisted, a steady hand at their side often softened them. The Concord believed the humans, too, would change once they lived under the daily influence of alien wisdom. So the announcement was made. Across every channel, the alien leader's voice spoke. We wish to live among you. We will build embassies in your great cities. We will bring teachers, healers, and friends. Together, our people will grow closer, until there is no gap between us. The Concord expected excitement. They expected doors to open and land to be offered freely. Instead, the reply came swiftly, spoken by the same human leader who had met them before. Her voice was calm, steady, but her words struck harder than any weapon. No embassies will be built. No stations will be placed on our soil. You may visit as guests, but you will not remain. Do not attempt to bind us. The statement carried across the planet and up into the alien fleet. The envoys listened in stunned silence. Never before had such a message been given to the Concord. Even strong civilizations usually bent to their offers. None had dared to draw such a clear line. In the Concord halls, voices rose. Some envoys argued that this was pride, that humans were too arrogant to see wisdom. Others warned it was more than pride. They said the humans were guarding something they did not want outsiders to touch. Each theory grew wilder than the last, but all agreed on one point. The humans were not acting as a weak people. On Earth, the reaction was mixed. Some cheered their leaders for standing firm. Others feared they had made a mistake, turning away those who offered peace. But the leaders stood united. They had spoken with one voice, and that voice was final. The envoys tried again. They sent messages filled with gentle words. Do not fear us. We come only to guide. Our embassies are symbols of friendship, not chains. But each time, humanity's reply was the same. We are not afraid. We simply choose our own path. This choice unsettled the Concord more than open hostility ever could. Hostility they understood. Fear they understood. But calm rejection was something different. It was not the voice of the weak, but the voice of the certain. Inside the alien fleet, worry spread. The envoys began to realize their mission was slipping away. The Concord had expected Earth to be like a child, eager to join its elders. But the humans spoke as equals, as if they already belonged to no one but themselves. The alien leader, troubled by this, requested a private meeting with the human delegation once more. It was granted. In the great hall of the envoy ship, the two sides faced each other again. The alien spoke first. Do you not see the danger? The galaxy holds threats you have not yet met. Alone, you may fall. With us, you will stand. The human woman looked at him without fear. Her answer was quiet, yet it carried across the hall with the weight of a mountain. We do not stand alone. We stand as humanity. And we will not bow. The hall fell silent. No one moved. The alien leader felt the truth of those words deep in his bones. This was not arrogance. It was conviction. When the meeting ended, the humans left as they always did, calm, composed, and without hesitation. Their ship returned to Earth's skies, leaving the envoys in silence. That night, above the dark curve of the planet, the alien fleet shone like silver stars. Yet inside, unease grew heavier with each passing hour. The warning had been given, clear and unshaken. Humanity had drawn a line, and behind that line was a will that no gifts, no speeches, and no pressure could move. The Concord had come to guide. But now they began to wonder if they had instead stepped into the path of something far stronger than they had ever imagined. And so the warning echoed, not just in the minds of the envoys, but across the councils of the Concord itself. Do not attempt to bind us. The warning from Earth had spread through the envoy fleet like a quiet fire. Do not attempt to bind us. The words were simple, yet their weight unsettled even the most confident among them. Still, the Concord believed that humanity could not possibly stand against the strength of many ancient civilizations united together. They told themselves that fear or hesitation must be behind Earth's refusal. To prove their goodwill and also remind the humans of the strength of the Concorde, the envoys prepared a grand demonstration. It would not be a threat, they told themselves, only a display of order and discipline. A fleet maneuver across the skies of Earth, showing precision and unity, the kind of power that kept the galaxy in balance. The day of the demonstration arrived. From orbit, dozens of alien ships shifted into perfect formation. Their silver hulls glimmered in the sunlight as they moved in patterns across the heavens. Beams of harmless light traced arcs between them, painting shapes and symbols that told of peace, unity, and history. To any species that had never seen such power, it would be breathtaking. Billions of humans looked up. Across cities and fields, eyes followed the alien ships as they carved the sky with dazzling light. Children pointed, families gathered, and the world held its breath. The Concorde envoys were certain this time humanity would be moved, certain the display would open their hearts. Then, without announcement, something stirred within the solar system itself. From the shadow of the moon, from stations hidden near asteroids, and from the dark silence beyond Mars, shapes began to appear. Human ships. At first, only a few. Then dozens. Then more. Sleek vessels of black and silver, sharp like blades, sliding into view without sound or light. They moved with precision, tighter and faster than even the Concorde fleet. No beams of light followed them, no colors to impress. Their presence alone was enough. The alien envoys froze in shock. These ships were not ceremonial. They were not built to dazzle. They were built for war. The human fleet formed lines across the sky, their dark hulls blotting out stars as they shifted into silent order. They did not fire. They did not speak. They simply moved into perfect position, surrounding the alien display with quiet efficiency. Every maneuver was exact, every turn sharper than the last. It was a show not of beauty, but of discipline and readiness. The human leader's voice came across the channels, calm as always. We acknowledge your display. This is ours. Those words alone carried more weight than the beams of light that filled the sky. Humanity had shown what it had hidden until now. Not gifts, not speeches, but power. On Earth, the people looked up in silence. Their hearts filled not with fear, but with pride. Their ships, their creations, had stood against the galaxy's oldest alliance and shown no weakness. For the first time, humanity revealed to itself and to others what had been built quietly, far from alien eyes. Inside the Concorde fleet, unease turned to dread. The envoys realized this was no bluff. The humans had warships hidden across their system, waiting in silence, unseen until needed. Their movements showed long training, unity, and preparation. This was not a young race rushing into the stars. This was a race that had already been preparing for this moment, long before the Concorde had arrived. The alien leader tried to remain calm. He sent a message across the channel. We see your strength. We honor it. But why do you hide such power? Why do you reveal it now? The human reply was simple. Because you asked. There was no threat, no anger. Just truth. Humanity had not wanted to reveal its power, but when challenged, it had shown enough to silence doubt. The alien fleet ended its display quietly. Their formations broke, their light beams faded, and their ships drifted back into position above Earth. For the first time in living memory, the Concorde had been overshadowed, not by violence, but by calm and quiet strength. As night spread across Earth, the human ships remained in position, dark silhouettes against the stars. They made no move to attack, no attempt to boast. They simply waited, watching, like guardians of their world. And so the lesson became clear to the envoys. The humans had no need for gifts, no need for protection, and no need for guidance. They were already prepared, already strong, and already willing to stand alone if the galaxy tried to test them. It was then that the envoys began to understand the true meaning of Earth's earlier words. Do not attempt to bind us. Humanity was not asking. Humanity was warning. The galaxy had seen many civilizations rise, but few had ever unsettled the Concord as Earth had. The display of human warships had left the envoys shaken. Not because the humans had attacked, not because they had threatened, but because they had revealed their strength without a single hint of fear. The ships had moved in silence, and that silence spoke louder than any weapon. In the days that followed, the alien fleet remained in orbit, but the confidence inside their hulls began to crumble. The envoys held meeting after meeting, trying to understand what they had witnessed. Some argued that the human ships were fewer in number than they appeared, that perhaps it was an illusion of precision. Others warned that it was not the number that mattered but the fact that humanity had kept them hidden, waiting for the right moment to show. The Concord had long believed that their watchers had mapped every world, every fleet, every movement of rising civilizations. Yet here was Earth, hiding entire forces in its own system without detection. This thought unsettled the envoys more than any weapon could. If humans could hide fleets so close to home, what else could they hide in the dark between the stars? It was then that humanity sent another message, not through words but through revelation. Across the galaxy, at distant points thought to be empty, signals began to appear. Stations, outposts, listening posts, all human in design, came alive. They had been there for years, perhaps longer, silent and unseen. Now they activated, sending signals to Earth and to one another. The Concord envoys watched in disbelief as maps filled with red marks. Dozens, then hundreds of hidden human stations across sectors the Concord had believed unclaimed. The humans had been watching the galaxy, not just their solar system. They had listened to transmissions, studied fleets, traced trade routes. All the while, the Concord had believed Earth was still learning how to leave its cradle. The alien leader sent a message, his voice carrying both confusion and unease. Why did you build these stations in secret? Why did you hide them from us? The reply from Earth came calm and clear, as always. Because we were listening. 2 words, yet they carried the weight of years. Humanity had not rushed into alliances or begged for guidance. Humanity had chosen to watch first, to learn in silence, and to prepare without asking permission. Among the envoys, silence filled the halls. They realized what this meant. Every council meeting, every fleet maneuver, every Concord decision made within the range of those hidden stations had likely been heard by human ears. The Concord had thought themselves the watchers, but in truth, they had been the ones observed. On Earth, the people began to understand the revelation as well. News spread across the planet of hidden human stations stretching far into the stars. Some were afraid, wondering why such secrets had been kept. Others felt pride, knowing their species had not only reached the stars but had done so with a patience and discipline that no other race had shown. For the envoys, fear grew heavier with each passing moment. They had come to guide what they thought was a young species. Instead, they found a civilization that had quietly stepped into the galaxy without drawing attention. A civilization that already knew more about the Concord than the Concord knew about them. In private, one envoy whispered the truth that none wanted to say aloud. We have not been preparing them. They have been preparing for us. The alien leader tried one last time to reach out, his voice carrying a mix of respect and desperation. You have strength, and you have knowledge. But why keep it hidden? Why not share it openly? Why cloak yourselves in silence? The human reply came after a long pause. Because silence is stronger than fear. And silence teaches more than words. The answer was not shouted, not harsh, but it was terrifying in its certainty. Humanity had chosen silence not because it lacked power, but because it understood the weight of patience. The Concorde realized then that every step of this encounter had been guided by human choice. From the first calm words to the refusal of gifts, from the warning against embassies to the sudden display of ships, all of it had been carefully measured. And now, with their hidden presence revealed across the galaxy, humanity had spoken a silent message more powerful than any fleet or weapon. We have been watching. We are already here. That night, as the alien fleet drifted above the blue world, the stars seemed different. For the first time, the envoys did not see themselves as guides looking down at a young race. They felt as though eyes from every corner of the galaxy were looking back at them. And in that quiet wait, the envoys understood. Humanity's silence was not the absence of speech. It was the clearest message they had ever heard. The halls of the envoy ships had grown quiet. Days had passed since the revelation of humanity's hidden stations across the galaxy, and the weight of that silence pressed on every envoy. They had come believing Earth was a young world, unready and in need of guidance. Now they knew the truth. Humanity had been preparing in the shadows, listening, watching, and waiting. Still, the mission could not end without clarity. The Concorde needed answers. They needed to understand what humanity truly wanted. So a final meeting was called. The envoys requested it with care, and to their surprise, Earth agreed. The great hall aboard the lead envoy ship was prepared once again. The silver walls gleamed, the lights softened, and gifts were set aside. This time the envoys brought no treasures, no glowing crystals, no promises of cures. They came only with questions. The human delegation arrived as before, 5 figures, calm and plain, their steps steady. They took their seats without a word. The alien leader rose slowly, his voice carrying not pride this time, but humility. People of Earth, he began, we came offering peace. We brought gifts, guidance, and friendship. Yet each time, you turned us away. You have shown us strength and hidden knowledge we did not expect. We ask you now, not as rulers but as students. Why? Why do you reject our hand? The hall fell silent. The human leader, the same woman who had spoken before, looked at the envoys for a long moment. Her eyes were steady, her voice calm. Because peace offered out of fear is not peace. It is submission. The words struck like a blade. The envoys shifted uneasily. The woman continued, her tone firm but not cruel. You saw us rising, and you grew afraid. You did not come only to offer friendship. You came to bind us, to place us within your order before we could choose our own. That is not peace. That is control. And humanity will not be controlled. The alien leader lowered his head. The truth of her words could not be denied. He tried again, his voice quiet. Then what is it you want? Do you wish for war? Do you wish to stand against the galaxy? The human leader shook her head. We do not seek war. We do not seek to rule. We seek only our own path. We will walk beside others, but never beneath them. If you offer true friendship, we may accept it. But if you offer chains wrapped in kind words, we will break them. The envoys felt the weight of those words settle over them like stone. They had faced countless species before, some proud, some frightened, some ambitious. But never had they faced a people who spoke with such calm certainty, as though the stars themselves were already within their grasp. Another human spoke then, the older man with gray hair. His voice was low but carried across the hall. You fear what we may become. But know this, we fear nothing you have. We have built our strength with our own hands, step by step, choice by choice. That is what makes us human. That is what makes us unshaken. The envoys looked into their eyes and saw no arrogance, no boast, no desperation. Only conviction. And that was more terrifying than any fleet or weapon. The meeting ended soon after. The humans rose, bowed once, and left without another word. Their ship departed the envoy vessel and descended back to Earth, silent as always. The envoys remained in the hall, unable to move for a long time. They had their answer, and it was not the one they had hoped for. Humanity did not want gifts, did not want guidance, and did not want protection. Humanity wanted freedom, and it had the strength to keep it. When the envoys returned to the Concorde, their report shook the council chambers. They spoke of human fleets hidden in the dark, of stations spread across the stars, of calm voices that refused every attempt at control. They spoke of a people who had learned patience, who had chosen silence, and who had revealed just enough to make the galaxy afraid. And above all, they repeated the terrifying answer given in the hall. Humanity would not kneel. Humanity would not be bound. Humanity would walk its own path, even if the galaxy trembled around it. In the end, the Concorde understood the truth. They had not discovered humanity. Humanity had revealed itself. And what it revealed was not a child among the stars, but a force that could not be controlled. For the first time in ages, the Concorde felt fear. Not of war, not of destruction, but of something deeper. The fear of a people who could look at the galaxy's greatest alliance and say, with calm certainty, we choose our own way. That was humanity's answer. And it was terrifying.